In this lesson, we're going to continue topic 7.1, and we're going to look at explain 3, and specifically example 3a. So we're supposed to add or subtract and identify any excluded values and simplify your answer. So if I'm going to start with my excluded values, remember I would just set my denominator, figure out what would I have to put in my denominator to make it 0. So in this case, it looks like if I put a 0 in here, I would make it 0. And then in here, I would probably factor out an x, and I'd have an x plus 1 left over. So it looks like in this denominator, 0 and -1 would make it an excluded value. So I'm going to just list my excluded values as x equals 0 and 1. Now, I am going to keep that denominator that we factored out there. I am going to, and I know that this denominator here, if I wrote it out, would be x times x. So my goal here is to circle what matches. And I'm going to circle what matches in red. So I notice I have an x and an x. And I am going to write that down. Let me get a neutral color here. I'm going to write that down one time when I circle it because I'm trying to create my least common denominator. Now I'm going to use my dark blue, and I'm going to underline in dark blue everything else that doesn't match. So that means I'm going to write down an x and an x plus 1. Now I am going to multiply. I need to scale these two fractions up to this common denominator. So in order to do that, I'm going to multiply by what's missing. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. Multiply by what is missing from your least common denominator. So I notice in my first denominator here that I have the red x and the blue x, meaning that what's missing is my blue x plus 1. So I need to multiply this one by x plus 1. They weren't very nice to us on that, were they? We're going to have to go ahead and do a box. I'm going to do it off to the side here. So my box would be x plus 1 down the side and x squared plus 4x plus 2 across the top. So I'd get x times x squared is x cubed. X times 4x is 4x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 1 times x squared is x squared. 1 times 4x would be 4x. And 1 times 2 is 2. And then I'm going to combine like terms across my diagonals. I'm going to write that up here in the numerator as I do that. So it looks like I've got x cubed. 4x squared plus 1x squared would be 5x squared. 4x plus 2x would be 6x, and then plus 2. I am going to look at my second equation here, and I'm going to multiply by what's missing. I notice I've got a red x and the red x, and I notice I've got the x plus 1 and the x plus 1, meaning what's missing is the x. So I'm going to multiply by x. So that looks like x squared times x, which would just simply be x cubed. To simplify this just a little bit more, I could add the 1x cubed and the 1x cubed. So I would get 2x cubed plus 5x squared plus 6x plus 2. I would not bother distributing or making that denominator any simpler other than maybe multiplying the x's together to get x squared times x plus 1.